Hello my beautiful friends, and thank you for joining me for another video. This week I am excited to be sharing what I ate in a week as a vegan with a focus on making some really simple home cooked meals. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Amanda. I've been vegan for almost 9 years and I love sharing weekly videos filled with vegan meal inspiration. This one is very kindly sponsored by my friends at Squarespace. Good morning, hello and happy Monday. This morning I am doing a little bit of meal prep for my breakfasts for this week. I've been kind of getting into a bit of a meal prep era, so let me know if you do want me to do like a full Sunday meal prep video, because yeah, I've been really enjoying it and feeling like I'm finding my flow. But for breakfast this morning, the weather is getting a lot warmer here at the moment and I'm really back in like my overnight oats era. I know overnight oats can feel like a really basic breakfast, especially kind of like a basic vegan breakfast, but honestly they are so good and they're so versatile. There's so much you can do with them. So this morning I'm gonna prep a couple of the flavors that I've been really enjoying making and eating lately. So for this week I'm gonna do a lemon vanilla overnight oats, and I'm also gonna do a chocolate hazelnut overnight oats, and yeah, they're both really good. So hopefully you will enjoy them in the same way that I do. Yeah, a productive Monday morning. Absolutely love to see it. So let's get into doing the prep. So I decided to make the lemon and vanilla oats to start, and so of course I start by pouring a whole heap of oats into a bowl. I then also like to add in some chia seeds as well as some flax meal to this one, and then I also add in some soy milk. Then I grated in some lemon zest, followed by then adding in the juice of half of a lemon as well, and then added in some vegan Greek yogurt, which is a soy-based yogurt as well, followed by some vanilla and maple syrup. And I whisk that all together to get it nice and well combined until it's all nice and smooth. And then I just transfer it evenly into a couple of jars because this serves two. I like to top it with a little bit of extra vegan Greek yogurt as well as some fresh fruit. I chose blueberries for this one, and then I put these in the fridge to set, which was super easy, and these are really delish. Then to make my second batch of overnight oats, I start with some oats of course, as well as some hazelnut meal and some cacao powder, followed by this Rocky Road flavored protein, which is super delish, and some soy milk once again. And then I mix it all together, whisking it of course to remove any lumps, and then once again I transfer this into two separate jars, top it with some yogurt as well as some fresh fruit, and I chose some strawberries for this one. Once again, super easy to make and super delish, and I just put these in the fridge to set. Then when it came to making lunch, I had some time on my hands today and I felt like making some homemade dumplings actually, which I'm very new to this. This is like, I enjoy learning new things in the kitchen, and dumplings are something that I am currently figuring out how to make. So I started by putting some onion and some garlic and some ginger over the heat, and then I put some tofu as well as some leek into my food processor, which was way too small for what I was trying to do. I really need to learn my limitations with this kind of stuff, because it would just be so easier if I did it in 2 half batches. But regardless, we move on. I blended this together sufficely enough in the end, and then put it into my frying pan, and also added in some soy sauce and some teriyaki sauce, and continued frying this all up. Then once it was all fried, I set it to cool to the side for like half an hour, and then it was time to assemble the dumplings. Now, once again, I am very new to this, so I've just been looking at techniques that I've seen online with how to like fold dumplings and stuff like that. I find this to be like a really therapeutic mode of cooking, doing something like this. I really love cooking like this and doing mindful things in the kitchen, basically. But anyway, I put these into my steamer, which I recently got myself a steamer, which also makes making bao so much easier as well. And I put this over to steam and it was all working beautifully. I do like them to have a little bit of crisp on them though. Once again, I could be doing this completely wrong, so I like to fry them up a little bit to get that crispy bottom. And then I served them with some chili oil. This was actually like quite a lot of chili oil, and I'm not a spice girly, so I kind of overdid it for myself, but anyway. Pumpkin is one of my favorite vegetables at the moment. I am loving it so very much, and so for dinner tonight, that is what I started with. I cut it up and removed the skin, and then into a bowl I put some olive oil, smoked paprika and some veggie stock powder, and I mixed this together, and then I added all of the pumpkin into the bowl and tossed it so that it got nice and evenly coated before putting it in the oven to roast. Whilst that was happening, I also cooked some brown rice over the stove, and then I transferred this into a bowl once it was all done, and then also did a bowl for my boyfriend for dinner. And then I added in some fresh greens, just like a mixed leaf blend, as well as some fresh cucumber I'd cut up, followed by some crispy air fried chickpeas. And then I added on this creamy like sauce thing that I'd made that was, I think, vegan mayonnaise and mustard as the base. Then I topped this with some roasted pumpkin, and this was just like honestly such a simple dinner and like such a go-to for me when I have no idea what I want to cook, basically. A couple of years ago, I went traveling for a month in a van with my best friend. It was such a great trip, and one of the things that we enjoyed so much on this trip was cooking and just having like really easy meals. And something we had so much of was rice cakes with sun-dried tomatoes and hummus and alfalfa. I mixed it up a bit today and had some pickled onions on it as well, but this is so nostalgic for me for that trip, and it's such a snack that my best friend and I have just loved having together for so long. I am going through a serious phase with making and eating date Snickers. These are like my favorite sweet treat at the moment, and they are so easy to make. You just get some medjool dates, you cut them open and remove the pip, and then stuff them with peanut butter or a different nut butter if you prefer, and coat them in chocolate and set them in the fridge. I also have been topping mine with some hemp seeds and some sea salt, just for something a little extra delish on top. And yeah, I'm just gonna have one or maybe two of these as my afternoon snack today, and I'll catch up with you when it's time for dinner. I prepared an early dinner tonight, and I started by making some tofu, which I cut into cubes, and then I put into a little bowl, and then I also added in some corn flour as well as some onion powder and some vegan beef stock powder and vegan, well, veggie stock powder is vegan, right? Surely it is. Anyway, I put this in and then put the lid on and shook it all up so it got well coated, and then transferred the tofu into a frying pan with some oil and left it to get nice and fried up and crispy. Whilst that was happening, I cut up some red onion as well as some carrot, and then I also cut up some zucchini and some broccoli. Love broccoli so much at the moment. I mean, I feel like it's always a staple vegetable for me. Anyway, I transferred these in with the tofu once it was nice and crispy. You probably need to give the tofu like 10 minutes until it gets like the perfect amount of crisp before adding in the veggies. And then I made a sauce with some almond butter, some sesame oil and some soy sauce, and I just shook this all up. The best way to combine a sauce, in my opinion. Honestly, I probably do it a ridiculous amount of time in this video. I also cooked some noodles, and then I added this sauce in with the veggies and fried that all up before then adding in those cooked noodles and frying this up for a couple more minutes just to make sure the noodles get nice and saucy, basically. I did a really, ungraceful job at transferring this into a bowl and topping with some sesame seeds, and it was delish. Okay, good morning. Hello. This morning for breakfast, breakfast, I am having some of my overnight oats. Thank goodness for the overnight oats today, because this morning I feel a little bit all over the place, to be honest. I struggled to get out of bed this morning, ended up getting myself out for a quick walk to get myself a cacao, and now I'm home, got myself ready for the day. Having some overnight oats, which, you know what a lovely, lovely time. I'm having the vanilla lemon ones that I made with some yogurt and blueberries on top. They're so creamy, like look. I think some just fell, didn't it? Yeah. They're really, really creamy though. And that's personally what I like from my overnight oats, is for them to be nice and creamy and filling and give me lots of energy for the day, which I feel like I need today. I have a bit of a big kind of day ahead. My point is that I'm grateful for Monday me, who prepped the oats basically right now, and I'm really enjoying a little bit of meal prep lately, especially with breakfast, and especially as we come into the summer months. My VideoMic, my blender, is broken right now. I need to get it repaired, and I'm like ready to kind of enter my smoothie era as well as it starts to get warmer here in Australia, because I know a lot of my audience are European and American, but the seasons are like the opposite for us. Like, we're in spring right now and we're going into summer as of the 1st of December. I also want to say a big thank you to my friends at Squarespace for sponsoring today's video and making it possible. If you've never heard of Squarespace before, it's like the all-in-one platform for hosting and designing your own website. Honestly, anything that I've ever wanted to do on my website, I have been able to do with Squarespace, and I have been using it for years now. I've used it for many different websites, managing them, hosting them, and just being able to do a variety of things with them basically. One of the main things that I do on my website, which is amandadux.com, is I share blog posts which are recipes, and this is honestly such an easy process. I love being able to use the blogging features on Squarespace to be able to do this. Something else I really appreciate about Squarespace, and I've had a lot of experience with, is actually being able to sell products, whether they be digital or physical. Digital, it makes it really easy to be able to send that digital product to someone without you even having to do anything. You can just set it up so that it automatically does it when someone buys something. But also with physical products, it makes it really easy to be able to see all of the orders coming in, add the tracking details for the customer so that they are able to track their physical order coming to them as well. You can go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/AmandaDux and use my code AmandaDux, which gets you 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. All right, oats time it is. Let's get into the day, hump day. Let's get it done, and I will see you when it's time for lunch. So for lunch today, I started by putting some peanut butter into a little container, followed by some sesame oil and some soy sauce and some lime juice, some fresh lime juice. I put the lid on, and once again, we're shaking it up. We're getting this sauce nice and well combined. Then I'm making some rice paper rolls. So I have some rice paper as well as some rice noodles, some crispy tempeh, carrot, and cucumber is what I had. This is honestly usually my go-to when it comes to rice paper rolls, sometimes subbing out for some tofu. And then I dipped these in the peanut sauce, and it was absolutely divine. This afternoon I also did some sweetie treaty prep, and I made my favorite chocolate-coated protein balls. So I put some almond meal, protein powder, and a pinch of salt with a whole heap of cashew butter, and then I also added in some maple syrup. I put this all into a bowl and I mix it together until it gets nice and smooth. And once it's nice and smooth, I then roll this dough into balls. You could also mold these into bars if you really wanted to. I find protein balls to be the ideal size sweet treat snack in the arvo, so that's what I like to do. I roll all of these up and then I put them in the fridge or the freezer to set, and whilst that's happening I then melt some vegan dark chocolate over the heat until this chocolate gets nice and just beautifully smooth, you know. Then I coat all of these protein balls in the chocolate and I transfer them all onto either some aluminium foil or some baking paper, usually would be ideal. And I leave them to set in the fridge for like half an hour and they're ready to go. On Wednesday night I had dinner with my friends and Bonnie made this delicious tomato soup with a caramelized onion and vegan cheese toasty for me, and it was absolutely divine. I'm having one of these switchel things whilst I make lunch today. I know this isn't like a what I eat and drink in a week, but if you are new here, I tend to have an iced cacao, which is like what I drink instead of coffee basically, because I don't like coffee, and some kind of like kombucha-y, drinky kind of thing most days, as well as trying to drink 2 liters of water a day. I haven't been great with my water consumption lately, I'm not gonna lie. I'm also in the process of making my first batch of kombucha. It's almost ready for me to like do the finishing touches, I suppose, on it. So I am going to do that in my next video, I think, because I really want to document that. I'm about to make lunch, and I think I'm just going to make like a throw together Nourish bowl kind of thing, because this is just like the type of thing that I tend to make when I have no idea what I want to make. And if I have like some veggies that I want to use up, and I have some potatoes, some pumpkin, and I also have a little bit of leftover chickpea tempeh, so I think I'll use that in it as well. And yeah, I'm just gonna do some kind of Nourish bowl salad kind of situation, and we'll see how it turns out. So cheers to that. So to make lunch today, I started by cutting up some white potato, leaving the skin on, and then I also cut up some pumpkin, just like a little bit of pumpkin to be honest, because I realized I had a lot of potato there and I probably wasn't going to need that much. Then into a bowl I put some olive oil, onion powder, garlic powder, parsley, veggie stock powder and nutritional yeast, and mix this all together before adding in that potato and that pumpkin into the bowl and mixing it until the veggies get nice and well coated. Transfer this onto a baking tray and put it into the oven to bake. Whilst that was happening, I put some vegan mayonnaise, some mustard and some lemon juice, as well as pepper and a bit of water to thin it out into a container and shake it all up. I then put some greens as well as cucumber, tempeh and those roasted veggies into a bowl with some hemp seeds and some sesame seeds, as well as that creamy sauce I just made, and I tossed this all together to make a really hearty and creamy salad. Super simple and super delish. In the arvo, I snacked on one of these protein balls before getting into making dinner. I put some potato and some pumpkin as well as some cashews into some boiling water, and whilst that was boiling I cut up some brown onion. I diced it, whatever you want to call it, and then I put another pan over the heat with some oil and put that onion in to fry up. It was time to get the lights on, and then I added in some garlic powder, some smoked paprika and some cumin in with those brown onions, and I continued frying this up before adding in some tomato paste as well as some water to thin it out a little bit. And then I added in some refried beans and continued mixing this all together. Whilst that was cooking, I put some red onion, cucumber and tomato into a bowl, and then I added in some salt and some pepper with a bit of oil, and I mixed this all together. From there, I then put the potatoes and pumpkin and cashews into a food processor with some nutritional yeast, some cumin, some smoked paprika and some garlic powder and onion powder and veggie stock powder, as well as some water to thin it out. And then I put the lid on and blended it all together until it was nice and smooth. Then I got the refried bean mixture and I rolled it in some mini tortillas, and I basically used I think 10 tortillas in the end, and then I fried this in some oil and until they got really nice and crispy. I then served this up for my boyfriend and I topped it with some of that creamy cheesy sauce I'd made, as well as the fresh salsa that I had made, and it was just absolutely divine. Honestly, it was so delish. We are making a falafel pita pocket for lunch today, and I'm very excited about it. Oh my god. I've made my own falafels many a time before, but I just don't make them as well as the store-bought ones, and I'm happy to accept that reality for now until my cooking skills improve and enjoy the convenience of being able to get these from the supermarket. For dinner on Friday night, I started by putting some oil into a frying pan and then also putting some water on to boil. I then put some brown onion in with the oil as well as some garlic, and I continued frying that up. I then added in some tomato paste and of course continued frying before adding in some passata and continuing to mix this together. Then I added in some diced sun-dried tomatoes and continued cooking this up, adding in some plant-based cream to make this like a creamy tomato pasta dish. I also added in salt and pepper as well as some cooked pasta once it was done, and then I served this up for my boyfriend and I to have for dinner. I also had some crispy broccoli with this, which was so lovely, and honestly this was just like such a perfect Friday night dinner. And that, my beautiful friends, brings us to the end of what I ate this week as a vegan. I do apologize I didn't film the weekend. It was just such a busy social one. I didn't really have a moment to pick up my camera or get into the kitchen to cook something. So I hope that regardless there was plenty of plant-based meal inspiration and you have at least one new thing to try out in the kitchen this week. As always, thank you so much for being here and supporting my YouTube channel. I will be back next week with another video, but until then I hope you have a beautiful day, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye!